Right. So first of all, I'd like to probably touch on a little bit of myth, I suppose you could call it, around native title, and maybe some views that have been put out there within the public arena to be perceived as truth, which are anything but. So when a group of Aboriginal people, of course, all related to each other, all standing within, their traditional country, identifying their traditional country where they're from, having, so there's a two-step process in going through a native title claim. So, as I said, they're collective of people, all related to each other, and knowing where they're from, and of course having proof of that is your first step. And of course having that spiritual, cultural connection to that area. So as I said, the first part of that is passing what they call satisfying the registration test. So what the registration test consists of is quite a few anthropologists, historians, and people within the Native Title Services Corporation absolutely dissect your genealogy and make sure that that the descendants, the ancestors that you claim that you descend from are from the area that you claim that you're from, and that you are, of course, a descendant of those people. So that's part one, registration test. I can tell you that my family and I indisputably satisfied the registration test, and we were the registered native title claimants of this area, connected with the registration number, if you like. The second part of native title claim is then your connection to country. Now, sadly, our state Crown solicitors, who are the guys that you are up against when you're going through a native title claim, I'll use Judge Dorgo's words. Judge Dorgo's the presiding judge over our case. She described New South Wales' interpretation of the Native Title Act as primitive. And she actually encouraged them to go away, put their heads together, and come up with something that was a little bit more friendly to the Aboriginal people, and suggested that they have a look at what Queensland are doing. Whether they did that or not, I don't know. So, part two, connection to country. Once you satisfy that registration test, that is when you can go into part two. If you don't satisfy that registration test, you're not invited into part two. There's no part two for you. Okay. Part two, that connection, we were usually, mods are given, because of the backlog that they say that there is, they end up with about 15 to 20 years to prove their native title connection to country. We were actually used as a pilot example. We were given 6 months. 6 months. So we had, our anthropologists had very limited time to talk to our elders to get a lot of story that was to be part of our connection story. We would supply some, go back to court. The Crown would then say, no, okay, yeah, that's beautiful, but can we have some more? And that happened 4 times. 4 times. Until our legal team ended up turning around and going, look, you know what? Is there something that you're looking for? Is there a goalpost that we're trying to meet here? Can you let us know what that is, what the criteria is for that goalpost? And we'll meet it. And they went, there's no goalpost, we just want more. So we got to a point where our legal bill was extremely hefty. Because yes, there are organisations out there that are government funded that you can go to, or you used to be able to go to, you can't anymore, you used to be able to go to source funding to fund your native title case. If you've got a 20 years to, when they did exist, they don't anymore, if you had 20 years to wait on their waiting list of funding, then you might have been one of the lucky ones. At the time, we thought, you know what? We saw the end of the road for those institutions coming close, so we knew that this was something that we're going to have to fund ourselves. In an ideal world, and if you follow the recommendations of the New South Wales Land Rights Act, local Aboriginal Land Council should be assisting the traditional owned groups within their area to seek native title. Sadly, we've experienced anything but. And I'm a member. I've been a member of Dartmouth Local Aboriginal Land Council for 27 years. There you go. So that's the two parts of native title. And one other myth that has been thrown around there in the public a few times is that we've had a few goes at it. Sadly, with native title, you get one shot. You get only one shot. And if you ruin that shot, do you know what? Even your descendants, 200 years from now, they're still not allowed to apply for native title because you lost it for them. If you lose, if your mob goes forward and loses a fight for native title, your entire bloodline can never, ever apply for native title. So if your ducks are not in a row, or you don't have the money to outlive a legal battle, which we sadly didn't, if you keep on that track, you are ruining it for your future generations to come. And quite frankly, that's not a decision that I'd feel comfortable making. And given the current interpretation of the New South Wales State of the Native Title Act, it's never going to happen, especially for us Sydney blokes. So we consider ourselves to be, we talk amongst ourselves as where the bomb went off. This is where the bomb went off. We held them at bay here for 40 years and stopped Europeans from penetrating the rest of the country. And sadly now, all those other mobs have got themselves educated and are coming back to try and wipe us out again. And Renee and I, and quite a few of my mob that's here today, and Renee's mob that's here today, will forever stand our ground. And will forever stand strong and represent our ancestors and stand for their blood that was spilled on this land here. And we won't even let that happen. This area here is so unique and precious. No one company should own it. No one people can own it. It's for everyone to enjoy. Nobody has ownership of it. And if we let these mechanisms that have been put in place lately, as Lindy spoke of quite a few, and of course that devil that we are facing at the moment of that SEP 19, coalition of peaks, all of them all together, if we don't stand strong and united and stand for cultural rightness, then I have to see what the outcomes are there. So you can count on us. We'll be standing strong. We've got to make sure that our voices are heard in that regard. So, caring for country is one of the most important things to us. With that mindset, of that caring for country, what we have with that mindset is protecting it for all of us, for all of our children in the future as well. It's not something that we want to have ownership of. It's not something you can have ownership of. There's also, lots of other myths that are being thrown around out there at the moment. I probably can't touch on all of them. One of the main one, I suppose, that's been projected of late is that myself and a lot of my family members are non-Aboriginal. That's quite hurtful. That's been quite hurtful. We've endured quite a vicious online and social media attack that's been driven by the land councils. I'll be honest, I'm not going to hide that fact. I know that they're behind them, driving them. Sadly, they're exposing little things along the way. Luckily for us, she's exposing little things along the way. But I can tell you right now, at this moment, I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but one of the most well-recorded, heavily recorded Aboriginal women of the Central Coast, Charlotte Ashby. She was actually the very first recorded Aboriginal birth on the Central Coast. My great-uncle is in the room, her great-great-grandson, Uncle Bill. Thank you for coming.